Call our time into being into order. Thank you guys for all being here. And I don't know about all of you, but I've had a crazy day, and so just to take a moment of silence would be really helpful. So let's do that. My only problem with silence is I like it a little too much. It settles the soul. We have 4 people here, which constitutes a quorum for our 4 out of 6 people. So I declare that we have a quorum for our time together. And so we move to the agenda, and we have the agenda before us, and just wanted to make sure everything's okay for the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the agenda for this evening's meeting? So moved. And is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? So ordered. We have minutes also that have been produced and sent out in advance for us of the last meeting that
Danny,
we had.
we've got one item before adoption of minutes.
What's that?
Swearing in our new member.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Do you, Ed Kramer, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, no inconsistent therewith, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of your office as a regular member of the Board of Adjustment?
You made it. Whew. Just barely,
You're on it forever, Ed.
by the skin of your teeth. Okay, put the ankle bracelet around his ankle. Yeah. Okay, so we are back to our minutes. We have our minutes our minutes before us. And could I have a motion to receive these minutes as presented? Hey, Martha.
So moved.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a motion. Is there a second? Oh, we made it. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. We're moving along, and we come to, I think, the most important part of our time this evening, which is continuing our evidentiary hearing for this variance that was before us last time and is again coming before us this time. And so we will have evidence presented to the board tonight by some of our esteemed colleagues in the audience. We're grateful to have you here again. Sorry for having to come back, but we're grateful that you did, and for the hard work that you put into coming back and preparing for that. So all those who wish to speak or testify in this, if you could please come forward and place your, be sworn in by Angie. She'll be glad to help you with that. And after that, you can return to your seat. Kanawha.
Okay, and I'm Appalachian Way.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of up there.
You near the Siemens and the Blakes?
I don't know many, the Blakes, yes.
Okay.
How far up Appalachia? 2/3?
Yeah.
You're close to the Mason Blake? Yeah. Mason and
Amy.
Amy.
Near the right?
Thank you, guys. Kayla, if you could walk us through the conflict of interest examination of board members, we'd appreciate that.
So, as the board members saw in my email, we are going to reopen the public hearing to hear new evidence. We've got a new site plan. I've got a staff report. We've got some new pieces to examine. We'll have some more testimony. So we're just going to kind of start from the beginning with our administrative stuff. All right. Have any of you discussed with any other member of the Board of Adjustment the project, application, applicant, or opposition?
No.
No.
Okay. Do any of you have a fixed opinion prior to hearing the variance application that's not susceptible to change?
No.
Okay. Ex parte communication. Have any of you engaged in any ex parte communication? I can define that if needed.
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Do any of you have any close familial relationship with the applicant, opposition, or any other person that may be affected?
No.
No.
Okay. Does anyone have any business relationships with the applicant, opposition, or anyone affiliated with either party?
No.
No.
Okay. And do any of you have a financial interest in the outcome of the application?
Nope.
Okay. All right. That's all I've got. Thank you.
I have a question that I'm to ask the board members. If you have any information or special knowledge about the case that may not come out at the hearing night, to please describe that information for the record so that the interested parties can respond. Is there anything like that you guys would share?
No.
Not at this time.
Okay. So we'd like to open up the evidentiary hearing on this matter and ask for the testimony first from the zoning administrator.
All right, so I don't have a presentation or anything tonight, but for the record, my name's Kayla DiChristina. I'm the town zoning administrator. I asked the board to enter into evidence my staff report and the applicant's new site plans and narrative. Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. The other piece of information I want to ask if the board will enter into evidence is a letter received by the adjacent property owner, Charlie Morris. We received a notarized letter this afternoon from him regarding this variance request. He spoke at the previous hearing. I wanted to know if you all wanted to enter that into evidence as well.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay. All right. Let me just make a note of that. Yes, it's just notarized. Yeah, same content. Applicants. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Plan, narrative, letter, notarized. Okay. All right, so we first heard this case at the board's January 25th regular meeting. This is a variance request submitted by John Hennis to Chapter K, Article 4, Section 2(4)A of the Montreat General Ordinance to ask for an increase to the approved graded area, and to Chapter K, Article 4, Section 2(4)J of the Montreat General Ordinance to increase the approved development intensity ratio. So initially, the applicant had asked for an increase in the approved graded area from 40% to 89.3%. And an increase in the development intensity ratio, which, if y'all will remember, is the amount of impervious surface that one is allowed to have on their property. He had asked for an increase in that from 0.3 to 0.49. At the January 25th Board of Adjustment meeting, y'all reviewed his initial submission along with another set of site plans that was entered into evidence. We heard testimony from the applicant, the professionals he has working on the project, and a neighboring property owner who voiced concerns about stormwater, the adjacency of the driveway to his property, things of that nature. And you have copies of his initial letter and then the new letter that's been entered into evidence. At that hearing, the board asked the applicant to remove the proposed detached garage, try to reduce the amount of impervious surface, and provide more stormwater management measures, and then to return with a site plan that demonstrated that. The applicant resubmitted their site plan to me on the 8th, and that's why we're here tonight, to review the new materials. So the applicant's variance request is now modified. Their approved graded area increase is now from 40% to 85.2%, so that's a little bit lower than their initial request. Their approved development intensity ratio, they've asked for that to increase from 0.3 to 0.472, so again, that's also slightly decreased from the initial request. The applicant's revised site plan shows the removal of the detached garage, reconfiguration of the parking area to allow 3 parking spaces with space to turn around, the addition of new drains in the driveway and parking area, new 12-inch pipes directing stormwater to the existing 7-foot storage tank and an additional 7-foot storage tank in the parking area, and the redirection of stormwater on the western side of the proposed addition to a rain barrel with a 12-inch pipe leading water eastward to the main swale and detention basin. So that's moving away from the adjacent property owner's land that we heard from. Let's see. So I want to just jump backwards for a moment just to touch on the Hillside Development Ordinance just once again, because I know that this isn't an ordinance that y'all work with, and I want to make sure that we don't have any questions that are carried over from our original meeting. So the subject property is required to comply with the Hillside Development Ordinance because it has a slope of 44.8%. The subject property is considered a non-conforming improved lot. A non-conforming improved lot is defined as an improved lot, so something with structures on it that were in existence prior to adoption of the Hillside Development Ordinance, which was on June 11th, 2009, that either by aggregate graded area, so that grading limit, or existing impervious surface exceed the permitted limits that are allowed under the ordinance. So the ordinance outlines a very specific variance process for non-conforming improved lots, and that's why the applicant was before you in January and is before you again tonight. I want to read through the change in the actual square footage that's a result of the new plans before ending my spiel. So the applicant's permitted to have graded area of 40% on the property. They currently have a graded area of 62%, and they've requested a variance to permit a graded area of 85.2% to construct the proposed driveway and parking area and addition. So they propose to retain 10,750 square feet of graded area. That includes the 2 single-family dwellings on the south side of the subject property. 2,800 square feet of this existing graded area is within the boundaries of the new driveway. They propose to add 3,910 square feet of graded area in the form of a driveway, parking area, and addition on the north side of the subject property. This figure does not include the existing 2,800 square feet of existing graded area. So they're proposing to add about a little bit less than 4,000 square feet of new graded area. All right. For impervious surface, the applicant is permitted to have a development intensity ratio, or again, percentage of impervious surface on the lot of 0.3. They currently have a development intensity ratio of 0.44, and they request a development intensity ratio of 0.472. So again, that's a percentage of the amount of impervious surface on the site. They propose to retain 5,199 square feet of the existing impervious surface. That includes the 2 single-family dwellings on the south side of the subject property. They're going to remove 2,360 square feet of existing impervious surface, which includes the single-family dwelling on the north side of the subject property, and then they're going to add 5,285 square feet of new impervious surface in the form of a driveway and parking area on the north side of the subject property. So I'll close with the board having your findings of fact in front of you as you go through your deliberation. Be aware of what's already been entered into evidence in the January hearing, what's already been discussed, and why the case was continued, and consider the new evidence before you tonight. The last piece I'll say is that the board can, as part of their approval, put conditions on the approval that are that support the ordinance, and I'm happy to talk more about that if needed.
So
all I've got.
just to clarify, the current graded surface area is how many square feet, and the requesting amount to be added to that?
So right now there's 10,750 square feet of graded area, and they're going to add 3,910 square feet.
What kind of percentage is that? 30,
I don't know.
25, 30, okay.
It's from 62 to 85.
The lot is 0.395 acres, if that helps.
Any other questions?
For Kayla?
Yeah, I have one. Which of these two are they going to build? There's one that shows a new garage with a rounded border, and this one looks almost triangular with 3 cars.
No garage. It's that one.
This one?
Yes, that's
So
the revised
this is
plan.
not to be built.
Nope. That was what y'all heard in January. The new plan is the one you have in your left hand
Gotcha.
that shows 3 parking spaces.
Good deal, thank you.
Any other questions, Caleb? Okay, would you like to provide testimony to the board? If you could raise that microphone, we'd appreciate it. State your name, if you would, please.
All right, my name's John Hennis. I live at 1905 Fendel Avenue in Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm the representative for Dowd Montreat LLC, the family that owns the house at 325 North Carolina Terrace.
Thank you.
I've been here before. We were here last month, and we heard a lot of discussion and comments about our original design from both the board and the neighbors, the Belks. We've taken those comments and tried to incorporate them to the best of our ability in this new plan, eliminating the garage, redirecting stormwater away from the neighbor's property to manage it a little bit better. And we had to reconfigure so we could turn cars around when we get down there. We can't just pull down there, which led us to add a little bit more retaining wall on the back side of this. And, you know, basically it's the same plan without the garage. So I think the grading went down percentage. The impervious went up a little bit, but it went down, I'm sorry. And it went down accordingly because we lost the garage. So I know there was also some current concerns about the stability of the hill from the neighbors. So I brought Ian, our geotech engineer, to answer any questions if anybody has any of that. And I also brought with us the contractor who's going to do the work, Chris Brock. And I know there were some concerns of, you know, logistics of how we were going to build this. So that's basically my testimony. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Any questions, folks?
Well, that was easy.
So much I would like to learn from all that you guys have learned, but but I guess
So
this
would
is,
I.
this
Can
is
I-
not the time to do that.
John, can I ask a question?
Sure.
And I don't know
You
if
have the mic.
do you have the mic? And I don't know if this is better directed towards you or Ian, but with the geotech report, you know, I know that the one that you submitted was designed and done for the scenario with the garage. One part of the report mentioned the use of concrete instead of asphalt.
Yes.
Is that still the same?
Yes.
Would that still be the same recommendation under the new design scenario?
Yes. Well, Ian, you want to?
Yeah,
Could you state your name, please?
I was looking straight at Chris.
Yeah, sure. My name is Ian Johnson. I'm a licensed engineer in North Carolina with Kessel Engineering Group. And my specialty is geotechnical engineering. And the answer is yes. We would
Having a hard
still-
time hearing you, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay. Do you want me to start over?
No,
No.
just in the
Talk
microphone
louder.
if you could.
Right. The answer is yes. We would still recommend a concrete driveway, and that's based on our experience with asphalt surfaces having a difficult time on steep driveways, especially where there's a sharp turn and getting compaction on them and being able to be constructed properly. Concrete drives can be cast in place and tend to perform better over the long term.
Is that the only reason for concrete versus asphalt?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for the
How strong
applicant?
is that? How strong is your recommendation?
The recommendation regarding the driveway,
Yep.
it's our recommendation. I mean, I think it's
I mean,
it's
not a
the right
requirement.
option. We feel.
Okay.
So,
The owner hadn't chosen that. He's chosen asphalt.
I'm sorry.
The owner has chosen asphalt according to his plans. That's why I'm asking. You did?
Excuse me, you're speaking, could you tell us who you are?
Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Scott Baryard. I'm the landscape architect for the project. The newest plans do have, it's on that top right-hand corner. Sorry, I didn't bring my glasses. 4,300
Got you.
square feet
Yep.
of concrete pavement.
Sure do.
For anybody else following along, this is the revised plan that shows the stormwater management. It looks like this.
Good man.
It's up in the upper right-hand corner, says concrete.
Yep.
Could I
Thank you,
just
Caleb.
clarify what I understand to be changes? Sure. I don't think there's, the red line is the ready rock, is that right?
Correct.
And then inside the ready rock is going to be a curb?
Correct.
And then you've added a 7-foot tank
Correct.
to this plan?
Correct.
And you've configured this a little bit differently here so that the turnaround is better.
So we can maneuver
Yeah.
the area, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Because
And-
we had the garage before, you could pull out of the garage and go. Now the garage doesn't exist, so we've got to create a different scenario there.
So from a stormwater management, we're hoping that all water will come down here and go into this tank, and then from the tank, it will go under to the street on the south side.
I'll let Scott
Is that
explain
right?
the stormwater.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Pretty much you have that right on. The one thing I do want to point out on the plan, this is designed, a normal parking space would have 42 feet in this area. We only have about 32 feet, so it's 10 feet short. If there's more than 2 cars parked here, maybe even one, I don't,
Yeah.
very hard to back out. It would be
Yeah.
very hard. He might be able to do it with 8 or 10 kind of turns. Most likely, if there's more than 1 car parked here, and that's why this area is so much, is wider than a normal driveway, is that this is where they would back up in, get as far into this corner as you could, and then start to turn to go up the ramp.
Very helpful.
and out
Thank you.
of
Yeah,
the
that's a good
driveway.
addition.
So
Yeah.
that's why we ended up having to do that, so that he can, hopefully, when he parks down there, can get back out. That's our hope. It's tight. It's as tight as I would try to do it.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes?
I'm just curious, I know that y'all have just had a very short time to look at the letter that came from your neighbor, because I just saw it myself today. And I just wondered if you had any time to consider it at all.
So I did get the letter. I got the letter actually 2 days ago via an email. We've been corresponding with Kayla and the neighbor, which has been helpful. I believe the two issues they brought up were, Kayla, correct me if I'm wrong, one was they were hoping to push the wall back 10 feet from the property line, and then the other issue was some sort of a landscape barrier. The landscape barrier we were going to do anyway, so that really isn't even an issue. We were going to do some vine or some evergreen. It was going to be my wife's project for that corner, so that was going to be good. As far as the pushing the wall back 10 feet, that kind of impedes the turnaround for that we've designed
So
for the.
just to be clear, that means this wall here, this way.
Currently, at that corner of the house, or the garage, I'm sorry, of the driveway, is 5 feet off of the property line.
Okay.
So if we push that another 5 feet, it's going to start impeding what we need to do so I can get in and out of the area safely and without creating more grade coming down, too. That's the other consideration. So, and as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Kayla, the retaining walls, driveways, they can be in the setback. There's no requirement for that to happen.
It can be on the property line? Yep, up to the property line.
Yeah. And it as you go up that wall, it gets closer to the property line, but I don't think they quite understand. It also starts to disappear because it gets shorter as it's going up the hill. So at the 1 or 2 foot mark at the top, at the middle of that plan, in the middle of the wall disappears and then becomes an out of ground retaining wall going around the back that we look at. So it kind of flips. So I don't think we can accommodate that, but we definitely were going to be doing the landscape barrier to try to dress it up.
Well, you just answered all my follow-up questions as well, so thank you.
Excellent.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Do you
Other
understand what he was talking about with how that wall sets on the site? If you look on that grading plan, when you get to the 60, when you get to the 64 contour, which is pretty much right there, at that point, I don't know if you're on the grading plan, you might need to flip your sheet one more that shows the grades.
Yep.
I would.
It would be good to see it up here. I don't know if we can see it up on the screen and somebody could actually point it out.
L3.
Can you please go in our presentation folder, and there should be a site plan titled, it's a PDF, I think it's like stormwater with the date 02/08/24.
Stormwater management plan.
Yes.
Dated February 8th.
That's it.
Oh, 64.
Thank you.
I see it now. I see it now.
All right, so if you go on the Morris property side,
Yeah.
there's another 64 right there.
Scott, can we pause for 1 second
Sure.
and have Josh bring the plans up?
Does this come out?
It does. I
want
just
me-
would
can I-
say, yeah, let's not, no touching the screen and no moving the screens. But yes, you can go
Can I
up
get
there.
close to it?
Yes.
Can you hear me if I do that?
No,
You gotta, yeah, you gotta MC it. Oh my gosh.
Scott.
Where?
American Idol days are done. Okay, so what I was trying to talk about, in this lower red corner right here, that is a 5 foot distance from the property line. At that point, that wall, which is right there,
Josh, can you use the pointer to point that out?
keep going up. Right, back down,
Yep.
right there. Up just a little bit,
You're talking
right
about
there.
the actual point of the corner.
That corner of the wall is 8 to 9 feet in height.
Yeah.
As you go up towards that second drain inlet,
Yep.
up to there, that wall has 0 height, okay?
I got it.
So the wall from that point back is what we would call a fill wall in the construction trade, in which that's where we are building a wall, filling it to try to make the slope less steep. And that from that point upward, it transitions into a cut wall. So it is trying to limit the amount of disturbance that we would have to do to cut the driveway in. So that middle point right there is kind of where everything comes together. Where it is at the closest to the property line, again, the height of that wall is 0 feet.
And what are
And then it would go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. down
Yeah.
to that point.
What are the white rectangles in the corner?
Those are drain inlets.
Okay.
And we added an extra one to help with any neighbor concerns of water
Okay.
coming through there.
Very large drain inlets, yeah.
And put 2 7-foot rain barrels. And rain barrels went on all the new gutters.
And 12-inch pipe,
And 12-inch pipe.
yeah,
It's way over designed.
yeah.
Like I told you last time, this stormwater design, at least the pipes would handle an Ingles parking lot. We're a lot smaller than an Ingles parking lot.
Any other questions? Would there be anybody from the audience who would now like to offer testimony? If so, would you come forward, and any of you who have been sworn in, come forward and state your name? Okay?
You're not sworn in.
Yeah.
What's your involvement with the application?
I'm a member of the public, and if I'm allowed to make a comment, I will. If I'm not allowed, I will.
You sworn in?
She's not sworn in.
I don't
Can
know.
you swear her in?
Is that possible?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to entertain comment from, a non-adjacent property owner,
Gotcha.
then I would say that's fine, but,
Bring it.
okay, we need to swear her in, please.
Yes, please.
And I didn't really come expecting to speak, so thank you.
Would you please state your name?
Yes, my name is Mary Stander, and I live at 118 Shenandoah Terrace. And mine is more of a comment, especially seeing that the driveway is going to now be concrete rather than a dark color.
Asphalt.
Rather than asphalt, which is a dark color. It seems to me, if memory is correct, and Kayla can help me on that, but in the hillside ordinance, there's a light intensity provision which specifically addresses concrete.
That's for structures.
But a driveway can be considered a structure, and I think that was
it's not.
considered when we were crafting it, and primarily that there's such a light reflectivity off of bright white concrete driveways. And I would bring your attention to, if you're driving towards Ingalls, when the trees are off, when the leaves are off the trees, there's looks like what's a magnificent waterfall that's in the settings, which is a bright white, very steep driveway. So when we were crafting the hillside ordinance, we were considering concrete expanses as structures, whether that's the legal thing to do or not. We didn't have a lot of guidance. So given that change, if y'all decide to go forward with that, there are stains that can be added to concrete driveways to prevent, if you're looking across the valley at a bright white concrete driveway. That was what I remember from the hillside. So that was my comment.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, in the definition of a structure, I do see it including driveways, but LRV is something that the applicant and I can work on during
Thank you.
permitting, should the variance be approved.
Anyone else who has been sworn in would like to provide testimony? Okay, so let me look here and see where we go next. I don't think we have any opponents of this here, do we? Who would like to speak? No? Okay. Are there any additional questions that we as a board have for these folks, these good people who've come? Okay, so I think it's my responsibility to declare the evidentiary hearing closed, and so the board can begin to deliberate. And as I think about this, I think what that means is that we have a kind of a private conversation in public, and that if we need your response or we need some information from you, we will ask it, but we'd ask for you not to respond to what we're saying because we're closing this hearing.
And
Does that make
Danny, I'd just remind you all to have your findings of fact in front of you.
So, findings of fact. Last time we did this, did we put it on the screen? I don't know. Anyway, we have these findings of fact. There are A, B, C, D, E, F for the variance. And to remind us, I believe the last time we met, we said yes to all of the findings of fact, and we gave reasons for that, except for finding number E. And I'll read that. Yes.
I wasn't a member of the board at that time, so I have a chance to comment on those other 6 that were voted on previously.
Okay, you know what, I didn't even close it. I just said, I think we should close it, so I should close it, so it's closed. Is that, okay, so
No, that's
bring
just
it.
a
Yeah, tell us.
Question.
Yeah.
Am I going to have an opportunity to vote on the 5 that were voted as yes?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine.
Right now,
Okay, good.
yeah. So I'm just summarizing right now. And we can go back over each of these findings of fact. Yeah, okay. And after we go over these findings of fact, would that be a good time, or would you rather speak now? What would be best for you?
I just want to have a chance to speak before we take a vote on any of them.
Okay, well, let's go over the findings of fact, and then maybe that may address something or not. So let's see. I tried to write down some notes about the. I'm going to assume the role of being a common voice for all of us until someone tells me otherwise. Okay, would that work for everybody? That might be in the interest of speeding it up. Finding of fact number A, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance. It shall not be necessary to demonstrate that in the absence of the variance. No reasonable use can be made of the property. And so our applicant made the case that they need handicapped accessible parking, and they need parking because there's no access to parking. And so we saw that as a acceptable hardship.
I'm going to vote no on that.
Excuse me?
I'm going to vote no on that.
Okay,
That's
okay,
what we're asking.
okay. Would you speak in the microphone,
Yeah,
too?
I'm going to vote no on number 1, and if you want me to, you want to go
Sure,
through them all?
sure.
I'm glad to, or?
Well, we will vote on all 6
Fine, then
together.
we can come back to them.
Yeah. We were not going to vote on every one individually. We'll vote on all 6 together. So you'll have to decide whether you're going to vote no on all 6 because of your disagreement with number A.
Okay. Do you want, maybe I should speak now then.
Okay.
Okay. So I have a prepared statement here.
Yeah?
And I have a copy of my prepared statement, which I'd like to be entered into the record.
Okay, I don't know about that. Can we do that? Okay, sure.
Okay, so, I'm a new member, but I took this,
Again, in the
I'm
microphone,
a new
please.
member, but I did take this position in a very responsible way, and I had to catch myself up. So first of all, I want the public know that this variance request under the Hillside Ordinance of the town of Montreat has never been granted in the 57 years that this town was incorporated in 1967. So we need to be very aware and very sensitive that if we do grant this applicant the variance under the Hillside Ordinance, it will be a precedent-setting exception to the ordinance for future requests that come before the Board of Adjustment. I have visited the property in person, and I spent 2 hours walking along West Virginia and North Carolina Terrace and on the property itself with the permission of the property owner. And I respectfully might add that if you, other members, have not had the opportunity to physically walk the property, okay, you need to understand the scope and the enormity of this request of disturbing a hillside, and take into consideration along with that the letters from the property owners of 321 North Carolina Terrace that we have received, who have legitimate concerns about this project. I've listened to the January 25th hearing testimony. I've reviewed all the evidence that was submitted by the applicant, the engineers, the contractor, the architect. I'm a layperson. I have no real knowledge or experience in any of these areas, so I accept their testimony and their professional expertise. So I'm not going to go into any issues of homeowner and property insurance, possible rainstorm damage that will occur just from one rainstorm. There was a question at the January 25th hearing, and I'm paraphrasing, quote, "What happens if there is rain or storm damage and the improvements made do not prevent this damage from occurring? What do we do?" And the answer given was, call the town and they'll deal with it. Now, I can tell you, as someone who has owned scores and scores of property over the years, the hardest claim to get paid on from an insurance company is water damage that did not occur within the insured structure, but from an outside source. If we grant this variance, there is an excellent chance that the town will become legally liable along with the property owner for any damage that is caused to other properties, since the town, in fact, did grant this variance. There was a mention by the applicant at the January 25th hearing that they would set up a regular monitoring system of improvements to make sure the improvements made were still in good working order, specifically those improvements to monitor any water or soil issues. While I appreciate the applicant's intentions, I need to add this to the conversation. After walking the property, I found the gutters on the existing structures appeared they needed maintenance. There are disconnected black pipes from the gutter system that were tied directly into the gutter and water diversion on these existing structures. There is a tremendous amount of leaf and vegetation buildup around the property that was blocking any chance of proper water drainage. I could go on. Well, I appreciate the house is only occupied 6 months a year, as testified. It still needs to be maintained 12 months a year. So personally, I am not confident in the applicant's intentions and ability to monitor the proposed improvements. And for sure, it is not the town's responsibility to monitor the property or the proposed improvements. However, this is not my main concern. This variance request, in my evaluation, this variance does not fit, quote unquote, the unnecessary hardship. Webster's dictionary defines unnecessary hardship as a condition that causes difficulty or suffering, a condition that would cause unnecessary difficulty or suffering. Definition or the intention of what I believe those who wrote Section 310.6 of the Montreat Zoning Authority had in mind when they used the words unnecessary hardship. The word hardship is mentioned 4 times in the findings of fact and is even mentioned in the first 3 of the findings of fact. I believe this request for a variance under the Hillside Ordinance using the 6 findings of fact is at best a convenience request under the Hillside Ordinance using the findings of fact as our guide. An unnecessary hardship to me is that the current occupant has a medical condition that requires them to use a wheelchair or a medical device to safely enter and exit the property. That would be an unnecessary hardship. Or if the current occupant had a chronic medical condition, such as a stroke or Parkinson's, that required them to be closer to the property for easier access, that would be a hardship. Or if the fire department or an ambulance couldn't easily or safely reach the house, that would be a hardship. Denying this variance would be not an unnecessary hardship on the current owners. This is a request for 2 parking spaces and a driveway. That is not a hardship to me. There is no current hardship for medical reasons or emergency access. The only reason given by the applicant for this variance request is that they plan one day to fully retire at this property and want the benefit of parking spaces and a driveway when they finally do make that decision. We would not be granting a variance. We would not be granting variances we do not grant variances on future or potential needs. If that's going to be the new standard for granting variances under the Hillside Ordinance, one of convenience or based on future needs versus true unnecessary hardship, then figuratively, everyone in Monterey could make that case based on the town's topography. I believe the Hillside Ordinance was written for critical and immediate needs where safety of the property owners is immediately at risk. This is not the case with this request. I've been on a jury 3 times, and I've been a foreman twice. While I respect the members of the board wanting to be neighborly, it is not our responsibility to try to get to a yes on this or any request. Since this is a quasi-judicial evidentiary hearing, we must follow what every good attorney knows. The facts have to fit the law. And the facts of this variance request do not, in my opinion, fit the law in which this case are finding in the affirmative on all 6 findings of fact, which in our case, this is the burden of proof in this matter. I'm hoping that one of my members will be sensitive to what I've said and vote negative to request to approve this variance. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all of your energy in your writing and your review of all the data that we've looked at. I know you spent a lot of time on that. Kayla, am I right in what I said earlier, which is we vote on all 6 together as a package deal, not one individually?
Yes, but the board member has to find that it meets all 6. So
Right.
if a board member finds that the application meets 5 out of 6, they have to vote no.
Right.
So you will vote on them all as one.
Yeah.
But that's how your personal vote is calculated.
Is there any further comment or questions about what Ed's presented or anything else on number 1?
There are a lot of things that you said, Ed, that I had not considered. My ideas about unnecessary hardship were considerably lighter than yours. I appreciate all the work that you put into this and the thought that you put into it. It kind of explodes everything in my head. So I don't know where to go with it. I feel as if I've been kind of challenged to think about things in a totally different way.
Thank you.
Do I get a chance to comment?
Not yet. No, not yet.
That was a lot to unpack.
Excuse me?
That was a lot to unpack, that's all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We closed the hearing. If we ask for you for particular response, then you can speak. Yeah, but I'd like to hear the board's comments first.
Just on the number 1.
Yeah, that's what we're discussing right now.
My opinion hadn't changed from the original time that we met last month to say that I am in agreement that it does meet the standard of A, unnecessary hardship would result from the strict application of the ordinance.
David, anything you're thinking?
I don't think we're here to argue with one another, but at the same time, I think we all have an opinion, and mine would be to agree that it's time to agree, and this is not an unnecessary, I mean, it is an unnecessary hardship. I would vote yes.
Yeah, I am very grateful for your very thoughtful comments. And it does raise some issues for me, but it hasn't changed my fundamental perception of hardship.
I have one more comment in that, this is a continuance of what this board has already said, and I'm sure we have a record that particular part of the, what did you call them? The 6 what? Findings of fact. We left the prior meeting telling our applicant that the minimum had not been met, and that was the only instruction that we gave as a board, was for him to try to hit it toward the minimum, and we couldn't define the minimum. And I was a little bit disturbed that we hadn't granted it on the base of such a nebulous minimum. which had never been defined. This is, what did you call his, not pre-existing, but what?
Non-conforming improved lot.
Non-conforming what?
Improved lot.
A non-conforming improved lot, which was in existence before the hillside. So it had some exemptions already. They didn't say, you've got to tear down this before, because we've passed this. This is the only granted variance in the hillside ordinance. None of the other, say it again.
Not non-conforming improved lot.
This is the only time someone can bring a variance. The people who were creating those ordinances at that time left that there for a reason. They knew this was going to come up. So that was my comment. I'm not asking a question. My comment is, this is a continuance of what we've already told the homeowner and the applicant. And I don't think that anything different was brought up by the neighbor from what had already been said. I think this particular applicant, Mr. Hennis, has gone to extreme lengths to make sure that stormwater is not an issue. If anything, the stormwater issue is going to be improved from what it has been. So, in good faith, I don't feel good about going back, but that's not for me to say.
Thank you. Let's continue, and let's look at number B. The hardship results from, just to reiterate, in our last Board of Adjustments meeting, we all agreed, at least those that were there, A through A, B, C, D, and F, we agreed that these were findings of fact that we could substantiate and we could support. And we sent Mr. Hennis back to address number D in particular. That's where we were in the last meeting. Just wanted to restate that. So now we're looking at B, the hardships results from conditions. And Mr. Hennis, I'd like, after we go through these, I'd like to hear your thoughts. So if you would give us the chance to deliberate, that might help you in what you would like to say as well. The hardship results from conditions that are particular to the property, such as location, size, or topography, hardships resulting from personal circumstances, as well as hardships resulting from conditions that are common to the neighborhood or the general public may not be the basis for granting a variance. And so we spoke the last time about the real difficulty of everybody experiences in Montreat, parking and getting access to your property. This is a hardship that are peculiar to this particular property. Any comments on that?
Yeah, I'd like to comment. I don't believe that when this was written, that the people who wrote it felt that parking was considered to be a hardship resulting from personal circumstances. I just don't believe that's what they had in mind when they wrote this. That parking and driveways are hardships resulting from personal circumstances.
Accessibility, how about that?
If there is an existing situation, as I stated, if there's a medical situation or a true medical condition of somebody, of an existing occupant of the property, yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
To his point, I agree, but I see it in a different light. If there is a medical problem, how are you going to get an ambulance down there to them? You can't go down the front, and you're certainly not going to go up the back. So
Well,
tell me,
Yeah,
Ed,
I'll tell
how are
you.
we going to do this?
That house has been there for 116 years. How come this just became an issue today?
No. Talk to the point that this makes a hardship, or doesn't
I
make a
don't see
hardship.
tell me what the existing hardship is as we sit here today, right now.
You
What is
can't
it?
get an ambulance down there, plain and simple. How are you going to get a body up there if a person's dead?
So anybody in Montreat should come before this board because they can't get an ambulance close enough
This
to
is
their house?
specific to this property.
Okay. understand that.
Okay, then we don't have a question then, do we?
I believe it means existing condition. Someone has to be occupying that house,
So you would speak against this then?
100% against
Okay,
it.
okay.
Anywhere, yes, we'll go one by one.
Yeah.
There's no existing hardship that existed this property right now. And that's what this ordinance, to me, was written for. That's my take on the ordinance.
Yeah. The only thing that I've noticed, and there are many areas in Montreat where there is no possibility of parking. South Carolina is an example. You cannot park anywhere except down below, and you have to walk up 20, 30, 40, 50 steps, and I'm sure the property values reflect that because that's just the way it is there. There's never going to be a parking space there. It's impossible to do that, and there are other areas, I'm sure, as well.
So you would be open to somebody coming before us and requesting additional?
I would certainly want to listen to their case, yeah.
This is being broadcast and recorded, and I think people probably are listening.
Yeah, I would certainly want to listen to their case. But I do think that I'm in agreement that this is a really difficult piece of property that has significant hardships on it. And so I would agree with number B. Is there any other discussion on B? I just wanted to go down on the record for that. C, the hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner, the act of purchasing the property with knowledge that circumstances exist that may justify the granting of a variance shall not be regarded as a self-created hardship. Any conversation or ideas on that? We're at least the previous board was in agreement with that. Ed, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
No.
Okay. D, the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved. Comments?
Well, I don't believe this request for a variance is consistent with the spirit and purpose and intent of the ordinance.
Okay.
I truly believe that unnecessary hardship is the key to this whole discussion and request, and I don't see 3 parking spaces and a driveway as being an unnecessary hardship for a
Okay.
property that has existed for 116 years.
Thank you, thank you. We're going to go to F and then come back to E. The variance is not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permitted in the applicable zoning district. Comments or questions on that? I'm just referring back to our previous discussion in January. It is applicable to, the variance is not a request to permit a use of land, building, or structure which is not permitted in the applicable zoning district. And we're saying it is not a request to permit this use of land. That's what we are saying. So we are agreeing with that. So coming back to E, which is the basis of why we asked Mr. Hennis and his team of folks to help come back to us for this variance request, presenting the information as he has with the changes that have been made in the plan. How would we think about providing the evidence that we needed to say yes to that? What's our thoughts on that?
Well, for me, the answers that y'all gave me when I asked my question pretty much clarified to me what all y'all are planning on doing to meet the requirements that we asked you to consider. So that's all. That's my comment on that one.
I think it'd be good for us to hear from all of us on this one because this was the sticky wicket a month ago. So.
My only question would be why a driveway and 3 parking spaces? Why not just 3 parking spaces?
Anybody, any thoughts on that? Kind of hard to get a car down there in the driveway and then you can't turn it around. You have to have 2 parking spaces. That's required by the zoning ordinance.
It makes sense to
Well,
me.
I live in a property, I can't turn my car around. Should I come before the board? Maybe I should.
I think you should.
Yeah, you could, for sure.
This property, I don't know, have you been to the property?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
several
Yeah.
times.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you see there's terraces there.
yeah.
I mean, those terraces could be used for parking spaces with all this great expertise in the room, without a driveway. It's a terrace, comes off of West Virginia. There's a Yeah, so we've all been to the property, which is good. Right off of West Virginia, it drops down, there's a terrace. Then it drops down again, there's another terrace. I think with the expertise in this room, you could figure out how to get 2 cars in there.
What's the
Comfortably.
proximity of the terraces to the house?
Well, I would say the house is here, and then there's well, I don't know exactly, but if you look, you're on West Virginia, and then it drops down a little wall, and then there's a terrace. And then there's another wall, I believe, then there's another terrace, and then it drops down, it slopes down towards the house.
20 yards?
I don't know the measure, I'm not gonna guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there is plenty of space here for 2 cars, that's for sure.
Martha, anything?
I think that Mr. Hennis heard the board ask for a minimum and variance and was more than willing to eliminate the garage from the plan. And I thought that was a good faith gesture. I feel like everything that he's done with the stormwater management and just trying to make it so amenable to what the neighbor would like done, and on that basis, I'm in agreement with E. The plan meets that criteria.
I'm no engineer, but looking at the grading plan, the street is 84, and the parking pad is at 58. You're talking almost 2 stories. 11 foot is a story, I'm saying, building height. It's more than 2 stories below grade. Where are you going to park? How are you going to get there? And there's not room up on that road. West Virginia Terrace has no more space to
It's a
park.
one-way
I've
road.
been up there.
It's a one-way road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I disagree, sorry.
I would speak in favor of number E. That one of the overarching concerns that I hear is stormwater management from the neighbor. I think that this is going to be a better management of stormwater than what currently exists on that property by far, and will be helpful to that community because it's going to capture a lot of West Virginia water as it comes down, and is going to be helpful actually for stormwater management. That's not the intent of this total variance, but that is something I'm noticing, and I'm just paying attention to the extent of management that goes on there, so I would speak in favor of that. So is there any other comment on these 6 statements of or findings of fact? One of these days we're going to get these words right. All righty, I'd like to invite Mr. Hennis, if you would, to come and address the concerns that you've heard mentioned.
So let me start by thanking you all again for your time. I know this is a commitment. I know this takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of reading plans that are hard to read because they're on little pages. I understand all that. What the newest board member had stated in his statement was a lot to unpack. I don't know if I can hit it all. I kind of wish I had it before so I could hit it all for you, but I think I got the highlights. And let me address a couple of things. One is the current state of that hill. The current state of that hill, it's just a dirt hill. It used to have a driveway that you would come in off of West Virginia, it would cross to the neighbor's property and then go back up. And that's where the carriages and the horses were. That's my understanding. When this house was built, cars weren't really a concern in Montreat. That's why you have no parking spaces and you have a parking issue. So In the current state of that hill, there's no water management, there's no grading. When it rains, come on by. You'll see all kinds of stuff coming down that hill. That was a concern. The other concern is, yes, in the future, we are coming to Montreat to retire. I'm 60 years old. I've only got a few more years of work left, and I'm trying to do what's right for the house to save it for another 100 years, but also make it more accessible. And that's the number one premise behind this project, make it more accessible. You can access it from North Carolina Terrace. There is no parking on North Carolina Terrace, that's ours. We use street parking when we can. But the idea with this was to create a driveway and an access point for someone who's an elderly person, like I soon to be, clock is ticking, I understand that, and do that now when I have a team that I've assembled that can do this job properly and within, hopefully within my budget, but can execute a very difficult project, but I think I've assembled a pretty good team to do it. So I would disagree with your assessment that we don't have a hardship, in that we will have a hardship. I can give you all the medical records on this one knee, and it'll tell you that. So I think this is a good project. I think it's a good project for the neighbors and us. We're improving a lot that does currently drain water to their property. I'll point that out. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to capture it, we want to manage it, and we want to, disperse it properly. The last thing I'm going to point out is he is absolutely right that the gutters were full of leaves because the vendor we had didn't show up. And when we came here at the last meeting, I made a phone call. They're all clean now. So I'll just point that out. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Well, I do. I mean,
Sure.
we're going to be neighbors, okay, at some point.
We're all neighbors.
Okay. But the fact you have a bad hip today is not a reason to grant a variance under an unnecessary hardship ordinance, on the hillside ordinance. I'm sorry to say that. It just isn't. Why don't you come back to us when you move here and make this request? And I think you'd get a much more sympathetic hearing from me. But to come to us 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years before you make this move because you want to get it ready for your retirement, I think is just not fair to the neighbors, and it really does set an incredible precedence for the town. If everybody came to this board with future needs and possibilities, they had to change their properties around under granting of ordinances, it would be a mess here. And that's why these things are so strict, and that's why it's never been issued in 57 years since this town's been incorporated. This is a huge request. It's an enormous project with really, let's be honest with you, we don't know what the final results are going to be with all the professionalism that's gone into this project. And if there is a case, I mean, we get a bad storm here, you can't guarantee that's not going to be an issue. And no one even lives in the house 6 months a year. But you want us to grant a permanent improvement today for something that maybe a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, you will be here full time. I think that's an unreasonable request to ask of this board.
We're really looking for clarifications from our applicant. Is there any additional clarifications from our applicant as we go to these findings of fact? Any additional clarifications we need?
No.
Okay. I just wanted, you can please have a seat. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to state something that kind of floated through my head, and I don't know how to quite get at this, but if we were to deny this variance request, then that would mean, this question for you, Kayla, that would mean that there would have to be an additional variance request be submitted and a whole nother process.
If the applicant still wanted to
If they
apply,
Yeah.
then it would be, yeah.
Yeah, and so under that condition, would it be fair to say, and this is, again, we're having this conversation among ourselves, would it be fair, Ed, to say that there would be no variance that you would approve that would involve accessibility to the house or additional parking, or?
The request that's before us right now? You mean the request that's before us right now?
No, I'm saying, would there be any variance? I said
I'm not understanding the
that could be
question.
presented to make a case for hardship that you would accept?
Yes, I mean, the gentleman said that he has a bad hip and he wants to move into the property and he lives here full-time and he needs that kind of access. I absolutely would consider that being a hardship.
Is that not what he's asking right now?
He doesn't live there.
Oh, so your concern is that he doesn't live there?
He can't live there before he makes it accessible.
Is that true? Is that why you don't live here? Because
But
you-
the variance we're talking about is not whether the person I mean, we're not basing our decision on whether a person lives there. That's not in the statement of fact.
This is called an unnecessary hardship. A person, am I understanding he doesn't live here now because he cannot access the property? And until he can access the property, then he will move here? That's not
No,
what I'm hearing.
That's not, I
I'm
don't
hearing he
think
doesn't
that's.
live here now because he isn't retired.
Yeah.
Can I say that I respect, what is your last name? I'm sorry.
Kramer.
Kramer? Mr. Kramer's right to, Ed's right to have his opinion. I don't think any of us need to change his opinion.
Yeah.
I want him to be heard.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Thank you.
trying to be difficult. I'm looking out for the town.
Well, I'm wondering if we were to deny the
This is a
request, what would
tremendous
be?
request. To move a hillside is a tremendous request. Disturb a
Yeah.
hillside is a tremendous request.
Yeah.
And I don't see the hardship in front of me right now to make that decision.
Okay, yeah.
Entitled your opinion.
Is it time for
Absolutely.
a motion?
That's good.
Yes. And I think, just to be clear, have we made the appropriate arguments?
When you guys vote on the findings of fact as a whole, I'd like you to read them and why
Okay.
and where you got that information from. And if I could just quickly say something, you guys are individual board members. You're evaluating the case on a case-by-case basis. Every board member has a right to ask questions, inform themselves of their opinions, and form their own opinions. You know, it's you guys don't have to disagree. You guys don't have to agree. You know, it's about the evidence that's before you. So I just want to say that piece.
Thank you.
And what is I don't know the correct term again, but what is the criteria for approving? Does it have to be unanimous?
No, it's a 4 out of 5 vote.
Okay.
Now,
I thought it was 4/5.
4/5, yes,
4/5.
4/5, 4
4/5.
out of you 5. You, as an individual board member, to vote yes, have to find that all 6 findings of fact are met. As a total board, 80% of the board has to vote
4/5.
4/5.
Yeah.
Does Angie have in the notes everything except D, that we did last time? Or no?
We do, but you guys are voting today.
Okay.
So I'd ask that you restate it with the inclusion of, you know, the new evidence, the new board member, this new evaluation that y'all have done.
Yes, I actually had written some notes for that very purpose so that I could just restate what we said before, but now I can't find my notes. Oh, well, because I thought they were well prepared. Let's see if I wrote it down here. I'll attempt. You want to take a stab at it?
No.
I don't blame
That's
you.
why I asked Angie, don't you have that? Do we have to do this again?
Yeah. So we've already taken a stab at it, right? We already walked through this once, but I'll try it again. I'm not going to read them because they're there. Number A, we said the last time, and some of us would agree still this time, that an unnecessary hardship exists, and that unnecessary hardship is parking accessibility. Number 2, B, we are saying that.
Excuse me, can I point of order here?
Uh-huh.
A, you're only saying unnecessary hardship is only being defined as parking.
I'm just saying what we said the last time.
Last time. Oh,
Yeah,
last time,
yeah.
okay.
And what some of us agree today is still unnecessary
What some of us said.
unnecessary
What some of us
hardship.
also said it was not.
Right, right.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So Danny, what I'm gonna do is, as you guys are going through this, if any board member is in disagreement, just state that you disagree with it and why, and I'll make a note of that. And then at the end, you guys can vote on
All of them.
on those of you that have, yeah, then you'll vote on all of them.
Okay.
So
Ed, would you maybe?
I have what you.
You got me.
Okay, good. B, the hardship results from conditions peculiar to the property, location, size, topography. Definitely, this land is topography challenged. Would you like to?
Well, I vote no against that.
Okay.
Can you-
C,
hang on one second, Danny. Can you expand on
Yeah,
why?
because I don't believe there's a hardship in
No,
existing.
no, no, number B.
B. I don't believe that the hardships results from conditions that are particular to the property. I don't see any hardship here. There's no hardship that's been presented to me other than parking and driveway. And I don't define hardship as parking and driveway. I define it in a medical sense.
Not to put words in your mouth, Ed, but you said earlier that the 3 parking places and a driveway are not unnecessary hardship. Is that going to be pretty much the gist of your disagreement?
Say that again?
You stated earlier when you were talking that there were 3 parking places and a driveway are not a quote-unquote unnecessary hardship, in your opinion. That's fine. And I want you to say that. Is that going to be the blanket reason for all of these, generally? I'm just trying to save Kayla.
No, I'd like to go one by one.
All right.
Let's go one by one. Okay, Danny, C?
yeah, number C. The property owner did not take any actions to create this hardship. And again, we are saying that these existed before the purchase of the property. Will exist in forever. Number D, the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance, such that public safety is secured and substantial justice is achieved.
I vote against that.
Yeah.
Let me hear from
Okay, okay.
Public safety and justice, I think we would, those of us who were in the first meeting and some of us today would agree that that is still a very important reality, that safety, we talked about accessibility for an older person. Water issues that create safety hazards would be better addressed by this variance being granted as well.
Fire,
Say it again.
fire.
Fire and
Fire
ambulance
is more-
accessibility. Yeah.
Fire is more immediate than ambulance or any of those other things. For me, I would want to be sure that somebody could get a fire truck as close to my house as they possibly could.
Okay.
And any disagreement?
Yeah, I disagree. I don't believe it is consistent with the spirit and purpose and the intent of the ordinance. I believe that parking and driveways is not what unnecessary hardships are about. I believe it has to do with medical reasons and medical situations. And if we open it up, in my opinion, to that type of a definition of unnecessary hardship, we're going to be a very busy Board of Adjustment.
Okay, E?
Got that?
Yeah, I got that.
E, I think we've addressed that sufficiently, haven't we? A number of times. You want to say it again?
Yes, please.
We sought to address this issue by removing the garage, by deepening the infrastructure to retain water. And so we believe this is the minimum variance necessary for the proper use of this land.
Any disagreement? Any other statements?
Retain and capture.
I'm sorry?
I was just saying retain and capture, in other words.
Retain and capture the water.
Move the water away from the neighbor's house where there was a bone of contention
Yeah,
initially. That's,
thank you. But
I will abstain on that.
okay.
Can't abstain.
You can't abstain?
No.
Okay, I vote no.
Can you tell me why?
Yeah, because I don't believe it's the minimum. Do I have to go further than that? I don't think I should need to.
That's fine.
Okay.
Okay, F.
This is the one that I need some help with. It's not a request to permit. I hate this. It's not a request.
Oh, how to restate it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the variance request is in line with use of land, building, and structure permitted by the zoning district.
All it's asking is this a use variance? Are they circumnavigating getting like a special use permit or something? It's not.
So we would say positively that they are not circumnavigating,
Yeah.
circumventing the
Dwellings allowed
proper use of
by
the
right.
land.
Yeah.
Structure or building. Any disagreement? Okay, so I think we are ready for a drum roll, for a vote. Any other comments that we would make? Okay, it requires a four-fifth vote, 4 out of 5. So, would someone like to make a motion?
Is
And I
there
think we-
more that needs to be said than we vote? I move that we grant the variance that's been requested by,
I'm going to have Danny read it out at the
Oh.
end, the final request, but if you just want to make the.
so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
She's going to tell you have to read it out.
Okay, let's read it.
Well, let's have you guys vote.
And then read it?
I mean, it's.
Seems out of order that way. Do the thing, then vote.
Say it again? Go ahead and
You can go ahead and read it.
read it. Everything I just told you? You want me to
No.
read it?
If you go in your chairman's script, it'll
Oh.
tell you what the,
Is
yeah.
that the paper you're missing?
Oh, here's where I actually wrote my notes. Yeah, how about that? The Boyd, we have a motion that finds the unnecessary hardship result from strict application of the ordinance. The board finds that the hardship results from conditions that are peculiar to the property. The board finds that hardship did not result from actions taken by the applicant or the property owner. The board finds that the variance is consistent with the spirit, purpose, and intent of the ordinance. The board finds that the variance requested is a minimum variance that will make possible the requested use of the land. The board finds that the variance is not a request to permit a use of the land is not permitted in the applicable zoning district as the variance request. Therefore, is this
You
what I was
got it?
supposed to start here?
You got it? Therefore what?
Is that what should I?
Yeah.
The board finds the 6 findings of fact.
Wait. Stop.
Yep.
Stop. Martha's given a motion. Is the motion to approve the variance?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Mari seconded that. They have not found this yet, Danny.
Yep.
You guys need to vote.
The board does not find this.
Hang on. You guys
Yet.
need to. Martha's made the motion to approve the variance. Mari seconded. You guys need to vote.
All righty. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Opposed?
Okay.
4 in favor and 1 opposed. So the motion carries.
Okay. So now, Danny, I'm going to have you read the motion specifically for what the variance is for. That's
Oh my
what I.
gosh.
That's what I need you to read.
Okay,
For
thank
the
you.
record,
For the record, you got some notes here?
right here.
Oh.
Read that.
Okay. I move that the board approve the variance request.
Or not that you moved, that the board has approved.
Yeah, that's past tense.
Say that again?
It's already done.
The board has approved the variance for.
Thank you. The board has approved the variance request for VA 2023-03 to Chapter K, Section 24A of the Montreat General Ordinance to increase the approved graded area from 40% to 85.2% and to Chapter K, Section 34J of the Montreat general ordinance to increase the approved development intensity ratio from .3 to .472 on the property in the R2 zoning district located at 325 North Carolina Terrace, approximately 960 feet east of the intersection of North Carolina Terrace and West Virginia Terrace, described as a PIN number, I'm not going to read it all, within the town of Montreat. So ordered. Okay, so I think we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back to see what is next on the agenda. So, bathroom break, or let's see, it's looks like 6:25, so 6:30.
I think Kayla earns her money. What would we do without you?
Thank you. You kind of never feel like you do, you know, but thank you.
the street.
All righty, can we get everybody to take a seat, and we're going to keep moving here. All righty, so we are reconvening, and I think we would like to ask the applicant to come forward if they have something they would like to offer to us, particularly about the special use permit.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Tell us about that.
There's an echo.
Well, in light of the...
Name for the record, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, John Hennis, 1905 Fendel Avenue, Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm married to the, one of the owners, and I represent the owners, Dab Montreat LLC. In light of the last month's meeting and this month's meeting and the revisions that we've presented and you all have approved, we are removing the request for the special use permit for the garage. Withdrawal, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think that's all we need. Okay. So now we're moving to new business. No? No new business? So could I have a
Motion.
I know this is going to be painful,
I know.
but
Our
Yes.
favorite part of the meeting,
I so
the
moved.
movement to adjourn.
what are you going to move? Could we have a move to adjourn the meeting?
Danny, you're too slow. We're already 3 steps ahead of you.
We were gonna move
We
to
have
adjourn.
we have a did you say you already seconded it before I asked?
Mari seconded before anyone made the motion.
Somebody's hungry.
I made a motion.
Okay, Mari made a motion.
Two.
Do something about.
To adjourn. Is there a second?
Third.
Okay, we have a third.
How many you need?
David. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed? So ordered.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
See you next month.